See, most people don't realize that anime and manga weren't always popular. Like, matter of fact, it used to be something that people can get ridiculed over. And over time, it's gotten better and better. And there was kind of like a turning point in the 2000s with Naruto. And it's going to sound really weird because a lot of things built up to that. Now, during the early 90s, you couldn't really find anime on TV. And every now and then you'd find like a movie or a TV show on these random channels like Action Channel or Sci Fi Channel or even they didn't even really have Cartoon Network like WB or something. And it would be at like super odd hours, like 3 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night or something along those lines because you don't want to take away time from like Married with Children and Wheel of Fortune and all that. Well, over time, what ended up happening was people started getting more and more invested. So during the 90s, we had barely anything. Anime conventions were like the smelly people and the dark hallways kind of places where you can go watch Dirty Pair in a secret room, that kind of stuff. But we eventually ended up getting like Toonami and WB, and it kind of started this competition. So Toonami pretty much sparked this competition between WB and Fox, where all three of them were trying to bring anime over at the same time, and they were competing with each other. And it kind of made sense because Toonami was able to snag things like Gundam, Sailor Moon, and Dragon Ball Z. You had WB was able to snag things like Pokemon, and then you had Fox was able to snag stuff like Metabots and Ultimate Muscle, and it was really interesting. So it ended up like a lot of kids got exposed to all these different animes pretty much simultaneously, and over time, that ended up having other stuff branching out, and we ended up getting Shonen Jump, for example, from it. So Shonen Jump, that is still technically around today, but not in the U.S. And Shonen Jump is it's Bandai. It's Bandai. Bandai made a magazine that has a bunch of chapters from different mangas, and it's together as a bound collection, and they sell it to you in a weekly compartment. But in the U.S., it was once a month. And the way they advertised it was you got free cards and all this kind of stuff. Well, with the rise of manga, because things were slowly picking up and up and up, we eventually got a company called Tokyopop. This little icon right here. So this company was around for a hot minute. They had all the really good franchises. Stuff like Love Hina, Dot Hack, Sergeant Frog, and anything that was pretty much Bandai based for the most part, kind of, sort of, went to them. And it's really interesting because, like, at the time, not many Japanese companies had a foothold in the U.S., so you didn't have companies like Seven Seas or any of this. So pretty much, if you didn't go Tokyopop or Shonen Jump, you didn't go anywhere. Like, there was no other real companies. Because I think the only other real companies that did stuff was like Dark Horse and Viz. And there was a very high chance if your manga was experimental, we would not get it at all. But this is what the point of this video is that Tokyopop did something that no one else did, is they had a creator fund situation. So pretty much what it was that manga was so successful for them that they actually were trying to find local artists, so they didn't have to pay import costs and all that kind of stuff. So they started doing these competitions where you can submit a chapter to their office, and if they liked it, they would commission you to make an entire series. And normally their series was like 3 books on average. And that's how Felipe Smith came into the situation. So Felipe Smith was living in California. He ended up winning the competition, and he ended up making this manga MBQ. And when I say manga, I mean it is a manga. It's really interesting because unlike a lot of the individuals who won these competitions, Felipe actually tried to keep things as realistic and in that style as he could. And it's really interesting seeing someone pull it off for the most part, you know, because this is like the style nowadays. And if you didn't have his name on here, like if you didn't have his name on the book, and you just simply picked it up and you weren't sure, you honestly probably would have thought this was Japanese. But it's just his style. He's a really good artist, and he accomplished a pretty decent level of fame. He lived in Japan for a hot minute, and the creative front for Tokyopop was so revolutionary. Like, a lot of people liked it, they wanted to do it, but then Tokyopop ended up going under, and no one else repeated the process. And it's really sad because it was such a really good idea, and it was almost completely on par with how Ninja Turtles was paying money to new artists to make their own stuff, and same thing with Image. So it's like, we never really got that flair back, like Viz and Kodansha and all of them, they don't do that kind of stuff. It's kind of a shame because stuff like MBQ would have been phenomenal as like a 12 manga series. And there was a bunch of stuff that we missed out on because Tokyopop ended up going under because of bad management decisions. And that also ended up locking up a lot of animes and copyright scenarios, like Sergeant Frog was locked up. You have Love Hina was locked up. We didn't get any reprints for this for years. And of course, we got the stuff like Dot Hack, which kids nowadays don't even know what that is, which is crazy considering how popular it was. So it just shows you how one company can make or break entire situations. And it's crazy seeing that bad decisions can affect so many people and just cause so many issues down the line. But on the plus side, you can discover some amazing people like Felipe Smith. All right, everybody. Hope you all have a good day.